Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. It is Wednesday morning and wow, I've got to level some truths out here today. It's going to be interesting. Stick with me. It's not what you expect. Now, I've kept silence so far on the whole Diddy explosion, all of the charges, all of the victims, the terrible, just disgusting things we're hearing that he got up to, the criminality of it all, the absolute monstrous things that went on. I'm not going to say any of the words here because there's no point. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I've heard some people say, well, what did he do? What line did he cross to get caught out like this? And why would somebody say, what are they talking about? Well, here's the thing. Truth number one, and I've said it so many times, the P word, PDF files like Diddy and Epstein, and there's, a whole long line of them. That practice and worse things done to small humans, believe it or not, is the currency that runs the world. It is behind everything. And it's not just, some people are just now waking up to, oh man, the music industry, the rap industry, like, wow, it's bad. Just like they said when the whole Harvey Weinstein thing came, oh, the movie industry is bad. You know what? It's everywhere, from government, local politics, up to world government. It's in your schools, it's in your banks, it's in your business, it's in every one of your sports organizations. The P word is the currency that runs the world. That's the first thing, sickening as it is that you gotta understand. And anybody in any leadership role of anything, religious, financial, entertain, the people you see are the people that you're allowed to see. There's people behind them that you never get to see. P. Diddy is one of the guys that we get to see. Very rich. Now we're learning to discover just how powerful he was, manipulating people, running small humans, exploiting small humans, exploiting young artists that wanted, like Justin Bieber and others, Usher, that wanted to get into the business as teenagers, took them under his wing, did he not? And mentored them. We know what he did. And he got away with it for an awfully long time, didn't he? So what, operating under the premise that we now understand that kind of stuff runs the world, and that he's a guy we're allowed to see, and he's got controllers behind him. If this is what they do, and this is what they like, and this is what it's all about, why is he, and they've got all this control of everything, education, police departments, medicine, hospitals, psychiatrics, they got control of everything. If they've got control of everything, how is it that Diddy's exposed? Like I've said before, you get to see what they want you to see. He's being taken out. Goes back to my original question. What did he do? Now, it's not just what did Sean Combs do. Not just that. It's a whole movement that they need to neutralize. They're not worried about his immoral, bad, dangerous, criminal, exploitative behavior. No. They're upset at the power, control, and sway he has outside of his remit, which they have allowed. He's gotten too big for his britches, you see. They allowed all this behavior, but what's happened? And I mean, I'm not a racist. There's racist elements to what I'm going to be talking about, but it's on the part of the elitists and the way they manipulate society. We'll get to that. So don't get me wrong here. Everybody's so sensitive that you can't say words without people getting triggered, which is just ridiculous. If that's you, leave now. But here's the thing. Now, Diddy, a little too big for his britches. He's coloring outside the lines, and his controllers don't like it. Because when you take someone that's grown up with not a lot of advantages, not a lot of money, struggling, an inner city boy, and overnight you'd give him everything in the world: money, gold chains, mansions, women, drugs, anything, sex, anything he wants. And a music career. He is now a music mogul, producer. He owns property. I mean, he's into everything. I think he's got wine and a clothing line. I don't know. He's into everything. He's got everything. Diddy does. They gave him access to everything, and he took it and he built on it. Now he's one of the most powerful guys around, and he's coloring outside the lines. His behavior come from nothing, mega super duper influential, big guy, big important influential guy. He figures he's made of steel. Can't touch Diddy. He can do what he wants. He can say what he wants. And this has led to him not only behaving badly, but behaving in a way that betrays things for the elites. You see, like I said, the P word, all that, that's what makes the world go round as far as the elites and the controllers. It just is. Diddy is part of that. He's allowed to conduct that behavior to pull others in for blackmail purposes, whatever purposes. You know, from blackmail to black magic, they've got it covered, and people are expendable as far as they're concerned. But Diddy got sloppy. Girls and guns and beating up his exes in hallways and videos that leak out, and Diddy got sloppy. And that is betraying what the elites do every day, how they operate. So they had to take him down, right? He's too big for his britches. Now, will he be Epsteined? Or will he just go to jail? I don't know that yet, but I know they had to get him out of the way. Because taking him out of the way will take down a whole lot of other black entertainers that are in the rap, hip-hop, entertainment group. Why would they want to do that? Well, here we go, folks. This is the real reason behind the takedown of P. Diddy. According to me, just my opinion. We'll start out with another truth. Did you know? And if you didn't, you gotta research that since the 50s, just about every social movement has been manipulated by an unseen hand. Call it social engineering. Not every movement. The nationalist movements that are sweeping the world now are homegrown. They are the true populist's reaction to the tyranny of the liberal lefties that everybody's been living under for years and the agenda, right? So you're seeing a lot of places swing to the right in Europe. That's a homegrown thing. And you can tell it's a homegrown thing because the elites don't like it. And they're calling them all kinds of names. And here in Canada, anyone who's a conservative, the Liberal government of Trudeau, the newest thing, Chrystia Freeland, our Deputy Prime Minister, in the House of Commons the other day, called us maple syrup MAGA. MAGA, make America great again. Donald Trump's slogan. Well, because we know that the liberals are corrupt and they need to go, and we're on to them. No, they respond by calling us names. We're maple syrup MAGA. They equate us with Donald Trump. This is what this is how crazy the world is. That's how you can tell that these nationalist movements like MAGA and countries veering to the right, those are homegrown nationalist movements by the people. What I'm talking about is social engineering, manipulation by the powers that be to move the country in a certain direction. We see that now with the trans movement, the alphabet people, climate change, pronoun nonsense. All of that crap is a manipulation to move the populace in a certain direction towards a certain goal they have, right? What if I told you that's what the 60s was? 60s wasn't just a bunch of 14-year-olds in 1965 that decided to run away from home and go to Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco and be hippies. No, it wasn't a homegrown thing at all. Timothy Leary, tune in turn on, drop out. Who was Timothy Leary? He was a Harvard University professor. He was also a CIA agent. How do you think he got his hands on millions of doses of LSD and was able to, with his merry men, drive around in a bus around the country to college campuses and hand out LSD to everybody? Tune in, turn on, drop out. That was because that's what they wanted to do. You see, they had to pit the youngsters against the parent. In America at the time, post-war, America was one of the only countries that was just booming economically. Everybody had everything. Life was great in America in the 50s. And they had to put a stop to that. So they captured the youth. Made them all crazy. But at the same time, they were engaging in a war in Vietnam that was absolutely appalling and insane. And these young kids that were being manipulated and influenced and drugged up took the slogan, free love, and soon you had make love, not war signs showing up. You had anti-war rallies going on at the universities, where you had Timothy Leary handing out LSD. The anti-war movement aspect of the hippie movement in the 60s, that was organic, that was homegrown, that was authentic. And that's what they had to stop. That's why you got Kent State, Ohio. 6 protesters dead. One of them, 16, 17-year-old kids protesting the war. And they sent the friggin' army in. Shooting. It was madness. 6 people died that day. 6 student protesters died that day. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young wrote a song about it. That was the police shutting it down, and we've seen that kind of heavy-handed action by the police here in Canada in 2022. The protests in Ottawa, the truckers, the street party that was a national protest, that they brought the horses in and tear gas, and to madness, because they had to shut it down. That was another homegrown, authentic movement. The 60s was not, and when the young kids started protesting the war, they had to shut it down because it was an experiment that got out of hand, fell out of their hands and into the hands of the people, and they no longer had control. They had to shut it down. What if I told you that's exactly what's happening now, and P. Diddy's in the middle of it? You betcha. The hip-hop rap movement originated in the predominantly African American, economically depressed South Bronx area of New York City in the late 70s. Now, the powers that be have manipulated minority groups around the world since the beginning of time, and we know it. What they wanted was another way to create division amongst the populace, while at the same time seeming to promote a whole new genre of music coming out of the black community for the world to embrace. Crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but stay with me. Stay with me. So all of a sudden, it was everywhere, and at the very beginning, this is appalling, but at the very beginning you had rappers like, what was in Ice Baby, you know. You had a couple of white rappers, white blonde rappers, to kind of ease it into the mainstream, right? Hip-hop, you know, big dancing, big gold chains, big personalities, big egos, kind of morphed into the more seedy rap. Have you seen a rap video? I mean, overtly sexual, lots of violence. A lot of the lyrics are pretty bad. But this has become mainstream. This has become mainstream. And it's a way to kind of just lower the threshold amongst the populace. You know, boys started wearing their jeans 5 inches below their waist so their ass hung out because a rapper did it. Even though the origins of that started in prisons where somebody who, let's say, wanted to let people know he was available, he'd wear his pants like that. That's where it started. You still see it. It's awful. You know? The whole genre. Big and mouthy and swearing and you know, exploiting and abusing women. Doesn't care. The whole genre of it. Flashy, big money, all of this kind of stuff. You've all seen it. That's what was funneled into mainstream culture. And it hasn't done mainstream culture any favors, let me tell you. To that, if this was an elite plan to cause problems, they've succeeded. Look at all the young thugs and kids, and you know, because they're influenced by this on it's because it's a manipulated social movement, is social engineering. P. Diddy was one of their agents of change. That's why he's been propped up and protected since the beginning, and he's managed to grow an empire and grow influence across the industry and above it into other areas of society. He's a big guy. Keep in mind, though, he's one we're allowed to see, so that'll... And what with his behavior and his parties and his blackmailing and taping and things, all the things, he got a little sloppy because he figured he was above reproach. Who can touch Diddy? He's Diddy. So they had to take him down because he was betraying, through his sloppy behavior, betraying his masters. There's that. Not only him, but if you look across the rap industry, look how it's grown. I mean, there's some huge people making big money, and it's a large chunk of the entertainment industry. J-Lo and all the people connected to Diddy. It's too much. It's too much for the elites to take. He's got tentacles across all aspects of society. And when those names leak out, it's just going to be way too much. It's going to be way too much. In the past, we had Pizzagate. They managed to put a lid on that. We had Me Too and all that. They got Weinstein in jail. They managed to put a lid on that. It never went any further. Diddy's influence across so much of society is a difficult one for them to shut down. The whole hip-hop, rap, social engineering experiment has gotten out of hand, and they've gotten too big for their controllers to manage. So just like when the whole social experiment of the 60s got out of hand and the elites were no longer in charge, they had to shut it down. Shut down that hippie movement right away. And they did. Cost a few lives. This is what we're seeing now. This is why Diddy's going down. And you're going to this time see lots of others. It's going to come out. Because it's a way for the elites to bleed it off. Cut off that limb and hope it saves the rest of the body. That's what's happening. The elites are in crisis mode because this has gotten too big and too out of hand, and they've got to shut down the whole hip-hop, rap industry movement. It was of their making, and now they got to kill it. That's my thoughts on what's going on. My opinion. I might be completely wacko. But I suggest you research some of what I've talked about today and come to your own conclusions. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment. I want to know what you think about all this. Oh my. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.